A small bird is working itself to exhaustion, feeding a chick 3 times its size. A chick that murdered its own children, and it has no idea. It will keep feeding the thing that replaced its family until the day it can fly. To the bird, this is love, working exactly as designed. The small bird is a reed warbler. The monster in its nest is a baby common cuckoo. For 30 years, near Cambridge, a biologist named Nick Davies took apart how this works, hour by hour, in the reeds. The female cuckoo waits until a warbler leaves its nest, drops in for a matter of seconds, removes one of the warbler's eggs, and lays one of her own in its place. An egg colored to mimic the host's so closely the parents do not notice. Then she is gone, and her work is done forever. She will never see the chick. She does not need to, because the cuckoo egg hatches first, and the blind, naked, newborn cuckoo, hours old, does something that should be impossible for a creature that age. It braces its back against the floor of the nest, gets a host egg into the hollow of its spine, and heaves it up and over the edge. One by one, it ejects every egg and every chick the warblers made, until it is the only thing left. Then it begins to beg. And here is the detail Davies proved in 1998. A single cuckoo chick cannot beg loudly enough to satisfy parents built to feed a whole brood. So it cheats with sound. It produces a rapid begging call that imitates an entire nest full of hungry babies. A forgery in audio. And the warblers respond to the forgery exactly as if it were real. They run themselves ragged, feeding a giant that is not theirs, that ate the ones who were. Now stop and feel where this is pointing. The warbler is not stupid. It is running an instinct that is almost always right. A thing in my nest, begging in my home, is mine, and I protect it. That instinct built the warbler's whole species. The cuckoo did not defeat it. The cuckoo wears it. And the question the reeds are asking is one you should not answer too quickly. What in your life gets protected automatically, fed without question, defended on reflex, simply because it is already inside the nest? The oldest version of this on record is a man who cut off his own face. When the city of Babylon revolted against the Persian king Darius around 522 before the Common Era, the Greek historian Herodotus tells us a Persian noble named Zopyrys did something his king could barely watch. He mutilated himself. He cut off his own nose and ears, had himself flogged bloody, and then walked to the gates of Babylon as a ruined man, claiming Darius had tortured him for failing in battle. The Babylonians looked at his wounds and at his rank, and they believed the most natural story in the world. An enemy of our enemy, broken by the man we hate. They took him in. They trusted him. They gave him command of their armies. And once he was inside, holding the gates, he opened them and handed the city back to Darius. The details, Herodotus admits, are likely polished in the retelling. But the shape is the point, and the shape is exactly the cuckoo's. He did not breach the wall. He got the wall to open from within, by triggering the one instinct the defenders could not switch off. Take in the wounded enemy of your enemy. 2,000 years later, the same forgery was run on a throne. In the 1490s, a young man appeared in the courts of Europe claiming to be Richard, Duke of York, the younger of the 2 princes who had vanished in the Tower of London, presumed murdered. He was, by his own eventual confession, the son of a boatman from Tournai. But he had been coached. Margaret of York, the Duchess of Burgundy, an aunt of the real murdered princes, took him in, recognized him publicly as her nephew returned from the dead, taught him the manners and the private memories of the Yorkist court, and gave him a guard, a wardrobe, even a coinage. For 8 years, this counterfeit prince threatened the King of England because he had been fitted, with great care, into the shape of something a kingdom was desperate to protect. A lost royal child come home. The instinct was real. The child was a fabrication. He was hanged in 1499. If you have ever trusted someone because they fit a story you wanted to be true, you already understand the next part. And you understand why this is the most useful pattern this channel will ever hand you. Subscribe, because the modern cuckoo does not need a face or a bloodline. It only needs your instinct to nurture and a little patience. In December of 2008, the largest financial fraud in history collapsed, and the thing that made it possible was not greed. It was belonging. Bernard Madoff did not cold call strangers. He fed inside his own community. He was, by reputation, one of them, a pillar, a trusted elder, so woven into a particular world that his fund was nicknamed, with affection, the Jewish T-bill, as safe as a government bond. Roughly 85% of his investors came from that community. His victims included charities, a Holocaust Survivors Foundation, the institutions that exist precisely to protect the vulnerable. They did not hand him $65 billion despite knowing him. They handed it because they knew him, because he was already in the nest, begging in a voice they were built to answer. The trust was real. He was the forgery in the middle of it. It ended only when his own sons turned him in. So go back to the Warbler at the edge of collapse, still feeding the giant. We like to think the Cuckoo is a story about a fool. It is not. It is a story about a strength, the instinct to nurture what is inside your circle, being turned into the exact channel of attack. The parasite never overpowers the host. It cannot. It is smaller, weaker, outnumbered. It wins by becoming something the host is biologically unable to refuse to feed. That is the loop. And it is 40 million years older than money, older than thrones, older than language. We did not invent the con. We inherited a nervous system that can be hijacked through its kindest reflex. It is running right now, in the place you would least expect to find a nest. In 2024, security researchers discovered that nearly every computer running the Linux operating system, which is to say most of the servers that run the modern world, had come within days of being secretly controlled. Someone using the name Jia Tan had spent roughly 2 years as a volunteer, patiently and helpfully contributing to a tiny, obscure piece of software that almost everything quietly depends on, maintained, exhausted and alone by a single unpaid person. The contributor was kind, reliable, always there. Other accounts, almost certainly fake, pressured the burned-out maintainer to share control with this helpful newcomer. So he did. He handed over the keys, gratefully, to the most generous member of his tiny community. And the newcomer used them to plant a hidden backdoor into hundreds of millions of machines. It was caught by pure accident, by one engineer who noticed his system was running half a second slow. The maintainer did not lose control to an attack. He gave it away to the cuckoo he was raising. Here is the verdict, without hedging. The most dangerous threat to any group is almost never the enemy at the wall. It is the thing the group has already decided to protect, because the deepest defenses we have, our loyalty, our nurture, our trust in the familiar, are precisely the systems a parasite learns to wear. We are not betrayed against our instincts. We are betrayed through them. That is the loop closing and starting again. From a cuckoo in the reeds to a stranger inside your own community, the same move, the same blind spot, the same feeding of the thing that replaces you. Which leaves you with one question, and it is closer to home than you want it to be. Look at the thing in your life that gets the most protection, the most benefit of the doubt, the most automatic loyalty, the relationship or the institution you would defend without checking. You feed it because it is in the nest. So ask the only question the warbler never got to ask. How would you know if it was yours?